They say beauty can capture the eye, but wisdom reminds us that not everything that shines brings peace. A tattoo across her skin may spark desire in your heart, but the Stoics would ask, does this fire warm your home, or will it burn it down? The truth is simple. Tattoos often attract because they carry the energy of rebellion, passion, and danger. You feel alive when you meet a woman who seems unpredictable, like you've stepped into a story you've never lived before. But here's the warning: what excites you in the moment can easily destroy your peace over time. Studies have shown that those drawn to tattoos often lean toward impulsive behavior. They crave excitement, make decisions quickly, and chase stimulation, without weighing long-term consequences. And this impulsivity doesn't end with ink. It can show up in how money is spent, how conflicts are handled, or how relationships are treated. Take the story of Richard, a man in his late 40s. He met a woman covered in bold tattoos, full of energy, always chasing the next thrill: road trips, expensive dinners, nights that stretched till morning. At first it felt intoxicating, but soon he noticed the cracks: unpaid bills, constant changes of plan, and explosive arguments over the smallest issues. What once felt like passion became chaos. Seneca once warned, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." A woman who lives by impulse may shine brightly, but she spreads her fire so wide that nothing stable can grow. You can't build trust on quicksand. That's why Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If her impulses control her life, they will also control yours. What seems like freedom can become captivity disguised as love. So here's the filter. Don't just look at the tattoos. Look at the patterns. How does she handle conflict? How does she spend her money? Does she react instantly, or does she have the discipline to pause? The ink may be art, but her habits will tell the real story. If you're a man in midlife, chances are you've already lived through enough storms. You don't need another one. The Stoics remind us, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Marcus Aurelius. Passion is valuable, yes, but without discipline, it doesn't build, it destroys. So ask yourself, does her fire add to your life, or does it drain it? If her energy lifts you, it's worth keeping. But if it leaves you exhausted, remember, the strongest choice a man can make is not to chase chaos, but to protect his peace. Scars beneath the ink tattoos are more than decoration. For many, they cover something deeper: scars of pain, rebellion, or survival. Behind the beauty, there may be battles still unresolved. And when those wounds remain unhealed, they often bleed into relationships. Research shows a connection between tattoos and higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even self-destructive behaviors. Not every tattooed woman carries this burden, but often the ink signals a history worth paying attention to. When you step into her life, you're not just meeting her charm, you're stepping into her past. Think of Melissa, who had a tattoo from her teenage years. She admitted it symbolized rebellion against her strict parents. Years later, that rebellion remained alive in her behavior. Every conflict with her partner reignited the same unresolved anger from her youth. The tattoo wasn't just art. It was a scar speaking louder than words. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You cannot erase another person's pain with love alone. The work to heal, that weight will fall on you. The truth is, scars often make people magnetic. Intensity can feel like passion. She may love hard, crave closeness, and pull you in with overwhelming energy. But if her intensity is fueled by unresolved trauma, it won't remain passionate, will turn into chaos. What first feels intoxicating can become exhausting. Seneca once said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." If she still suffers from her past, you will end up carrying pain that was never yours. And over time, that burden will erode your peace. So here's the filter. Look beyond the ink. Does it represent growth and survival, or is it a wound still bleeding? Because scars left unhealed don't just stay on her, they will shape your life too. The Stoic path is clear. Compassion is noble, but peace is priceless. Your task is not to judge her story, but to discern whether her story will allow peace or destroy it. Attention hunger that never ends tattoos often draw attention. For some women, that attention becomes more than a choice, it becomes a need. At first it feels magnetic. She's confident. She stands out, and you feel proud to be with her. When her self-worth depends on constant validation, you find yourself competing with the world for her focus. Studies have linked tattoos with higher tendencies toward attention-seeking behavior. Not every woman with tattoos falls into this pattern, but when she does, it's exhausting. Validation works like a drug. The effect fades quickly, and she craves more. Consider Michael, who met Lisa at a friend's party. Her colorful sleeve tattoo sparked conversations wherever they went. In the beginning, he enjoyed it. But soon, Lisa lived for the spotlight. She flooded social media with selfies, demanded daily praise, and even flirted for reassurance. Michael realized no amount of love would fill her emptiness. Epictetus warned. He who seeks approval of others puts himself in their control. A woman addicted to attention becomes enslaved to it. And if you attach yourself to her, you'll be dragged into that same prison. The Stoics remind us that peace comes from within, not from applause. By midlife, you no longer chase the crowd. You value trust, intimacy, and calm. But a woman addicted to attention can't rest in peace. She constantly needs noise. Seneca said an unlimited desire is a form of poverty. Poverty shows when attention becomes her oxygen. The more she seeks it, the emptier she feels. And the more you give, the less it satisfies us. So here's the filter. Does she wear her tattoos quietly as part of her story, or does she constantly use them to demand attention? You're in a contest you cannot win. The Stoic way is simple. Value peace over performance, depth over display, because no applause from the world is worth the loss of your inner calm. Passion without limits that drains loyalty at first glance. Unrestrained passion feels irresistible. She's bold, adventurous, and makes you feel alive. But passion without boundaries rarely lasts. It burns too hot, too fast, leaving nothing stable behind. Research shows that people with visible tattoos often score higher in sensation-seeking behavior. That thrill-seeking can fuel wild nights and spontaneous adventures. But the same hunger for novelty can also erode loyalty. When passion is not anchored, it keeps chasing its next high even if that means leaving you behind. Think about Jason, who dated a woman who lived for excitement. First, the chemistry was electric. But soon, what thrilled her yesterday no longer satisfied her. She craved more new places, new faces, new highs. Jason tried to keep up, but no man can outpace insatiability. Eventually, her passion became restlessness, and her loyalty disappeared. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." A woman who cannot rest in depth spreads herself thin, never staying long enough to build trust. And Epictetus warned. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. But freedom does not come from being enslaved to desire. If she hasn't mastered her desires, her love will always be fleeting. Passion is not the enemy. Passion guided by discipline can build intimacy, adventure, and depth. But passion without limits destroys stability. It's a flame without a container one. That burns the house instead of warming it. So here's the filter. Ask yourself, is her passion anchored in devotion, or is it chasing constant novelty? Does she know how to transform excitement into loyalty, or is she addicted to the next thrill? The Stoic path is clear. Peace is greater than intensity, and depth is stronger than desire. Because in the end, true love is not proven by how passionately she begins, it's proven by how faithfully she stays. When conflict feels like foreplay for some women, arguments are not problems to solve, they are fuel. Conflict becomes part of intimacy, a way to spark passion. First, it feels exciting, like you're living in a movie. But over time, a cycle of constant tension destroys peace. Studies suggest people with visible tattoos are more likely to show aggressive or confrontational traits. Not always, but often enough to notice. The ink can signal a personality that thrives on sparks, and if you're not careful, you'll mistake chaos for love. Thomas learned this with Rachel. In the beginning, their sharp debates felt playful and fiery. But soon, every small disagreement exploded. Being late, forgetting a detail, even a different opinion, each became a battlefield. What once felt like passion turned into walking on glass. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." A relationship built on drama is the opposite of strength. Arguments may create heat, but they cannot create trust. The cycle of fight and reconcile feels powerful, but it erodes stability until nothing is left but exhaustion. The danger is that conflict can feel addictive. The highs after fights seem intense, almost intoxicating. But just because it feels strong doesn't mean it's healthy. The Stoics warned us, emotions unchecked become chains. A woman addicted to conflict confuses chaos with passion, robbing you of the calm you've worked so hard to build. So here's the filter. Ask yourself, does she approach disagreements with calm, or does she light a match at every chance? If conflict is her way of creating passion, you are not in love, you are in a war. The Stoic path is clear. Peace is not weakness, it is power. Choose calm over constant battle, because the man who masters peace will never be enslaved by chaos. Rebellion that resists commitment. Tattoos often carry a spirit of rebellion, a signal of defiance and freedom. A defiance may seem fearless and magnetic at first, but the same spirit that attracts you can also prevent her from ever committing fully. Research shows that women with tattoos often score higher in nonconformity. They resist structure, rules, and expectations. In the beginning, it feels exciting. She challenges you. She shakes up your patterns. But as months pass, that rebellion often turns into resistance against stability. She may avoid defining the relationship, dismiss routines, or call commitment a cage. Think of Daniel, who dated a woman who proudly claimed she could never be tamed. At first, her independence impressed him, but soon he realized she resisted every attempt to build a future together. What she called freedom, he experienced as instability. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the right to live as we wish, nothing else." But real freedom is not rebellion, it is self-mastery. A woman who sees commitment as chains has not learned the difference. Her rebellion may inspire at first, but it will eventually drain you. Seneca warned, "Discipline is freedom." Discipline, rebellion, becomes slavery to impulse. And Marcus Aurelius reminded us, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If her ambition is only to resist, then she cannot build. So here's the filter. Listen to how she speaks about loyalty, routines, and commitment. Does she see them as strength or as chains? If rebellion defines her identity, your relationship will always stand on shifting ground. The Stoic way is clear. Seek a partner whose freedom comes from mastery, not defiance. Because a house built on rebellion will collapse, no matter how strong the foundation seems at first. Regret written on her skin? Tattoos often begin as bold choices, a symbol of freedom, passion, or survival. But time changes perspective. What once felt like art may later feel like a mistake, and regret never stays hidden. It seeps into relationships, shaping how she sees herself and how she treats you. Studies show many people eventually regret tattoos, especially those made impulsively. For women, that regret often turns into insecurity, a sense of being trapped by past choices. That frustration can spill outward onto you. John experienced this with Melissa. She had a tattoo from her 20s that she admitted she hated. At first, it seemed small, but over time, every mention of the past triggered defensiveness and irritation. Her private regret slowly became a weight on their relationship. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility." In other words, we cannot change the past, only our perception of it. If she hasn't learned to accept her history, you'll end up carrying her disappointment as if it were your own. Regret becomes toxic when it evolves into blame. Instead of owning her choices, she may project her frustration onto you. You're not just with her, you're battling ghosts of her past, Seneca reminded us. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. We all have scars, but growth requires acceptance. If she cannot forgive herself, she will keep reliving the same pain, dragging you with her. So here's the filter. Ask whether her tattoos are symbols of growth or scars she cannot release. Does she carry her past with wisdom, or does she let it poison the present? Because regret written on her skin can easily be written onto your relationship. The Stoic path is simple. Move forward. Love cannot erase regret, but wisdom can choose not to carry what is not yours. Why novelty today can mean divorce tomorrow? Novelty feels intoxicating. The rush of something new, the thrill of the unexpected, makes life feel alive. Many women drawn to tattoos also carry this hunger for novelty. At first, it feels exciting, but over time, that craving for constant stimulation threatens loyalty itself. Research shows sensation-seeking personalities, often linked with tattoos, are more likely to resist routine and chase stimulation. In dating, this can be magnetic. She keeps life fresh, surprises you, makes every day feel bigger. But marriage is not fireworks. Forever is firewood, built steadily over time.
Now, when novelty is her fuel, stability feels like death.
Warned, an unlimited desire is a form of poverty. The more she craves new highs, the emptier she becomes. No man can compete with endless appetite. You cannot provide the next thrill. She may search for it elsewhere in new places, new experiences, or new people. Think of Robert, who married a woman full of adventure. At first, her spontaneity lit up his world. But when routine arrived, she grew restless. No matter how much he tried to keep things exciting, she always wanted more. Eventually, novelty pulled her away from loyalty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same applies to relationships. True wealth and love is not found in constant novelty, but in the ability to find joy in stability and depth. So here's the filter. Ask yourself, does she value stillness, or does she fear it? Can she find joy in calm, or is she always reaching for more? Because a woman enslaved to novelty today may become the cause of divorce tomorrow. The Stoic way is clear. Seek the one who embraces depth over thrills and peace over endless desire. Now, that is the kind of loyalty that endures. Addicted to drama, starving for peace, some women don't just encounter drama, they create it. For them, conflict is oxygen. At first, the cycle of arguments followed by reconciliation can feel like passion. But over time, it's nothing more than poison that drains your strength. Research shows people with tattoos often score higher in traits tied to risk-taking and emotional volatility. That can translate into mood swings, jealousy, and constant conflict. For a woman addicted to drama, peace feels foreign. When things are calm, she creates storms. David learned this with Karen. She was magnetic, passionate, and made him feel young again. In the first months, their fiery arguments always ended in intimacy. But soon he realized she couldn't live without chaos. If things were quiet, she would stir trouble until sparks flew. For David, what began as passion turned into slow exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But a woman addicted to drama hasn't learned this. She lets outside events or her own impulses control her emotions. And if you're with her, you'll be dragged into the same storm. The Stoics warned against mistaking intensity for love. Healthy love grows in calm, not in chaos, Seneca said. If you would be loved, love. Real intimacy is built on trust and peace, not endless conflict. So here's the filter. Ask yourself, does she look restless when life is calm? Does she mistake drama for passion? So, her chaos will drain you until nothing is left. The Stoic way is clear. Choose peace over poison, calm over conflict. Because love should give you strength, not take it away. Choosing calm over chaos, the Stoic filter in the end. This isn't really about tattoos. Tattoos are only signals marks of deeper patterns like impulsivity, rebellion, attention hunger, or a thirst for novelty. What matters is whether you, as a man, have the discipline to see beyond the surface and decide if her energy brings peace or chaos. Attraction without discipline always leads to destruction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Calm is not weakness, it is power. It is the strength to choose wisely, even when beauty and passion cloud your vision. Many men believe they can tame chaos with patience, love, or resources. But storms cannot be tamed, they pass through, leaving scars behind. The wise man steps aside and protects his peace. For some women, tattoos tell a story of growth and resilience. For others, they reveal wounds, rebellion, or instability. Your task is not to judge, but to discern. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. If her impulses rule her life, they will soon rule yours." By midlife, you've lived through storms, mistakes, and lessons. You no longer need another fire that burns your home. You need one that warms it. Seneca reminded us, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Your trials have already shaped you. The question is, will you repeat them or rise above them? So here's the filter. Does she move you closer to peace or deeper into chaos? Tattoos don't matter as much as patterns. If her habits bring stability, lean in. If they bring storms, walk away. The Stoic way is simple. The man who chooses peace chooses strength. The man who filters wisely does not just survive, he thrives.